All right, welcome. In this video, I am going to be going over how to get started doing architectural drawing in our CAD technology class. One of the common activities we may work on is a beginning house walkthrough, and I'm going to be recording a walkthrough for those that are interested in following along. So our first option or task at hand is to open up AutoCAD. We will be drawing in AutoCAD, and you can see here at the top middle of my screen that I have opened up our architectural template file. We go through accessing that by going to the A in the top left corner, open drawing, and we will need to navigate our way to the shared drive in the school. Okay, so that would be right here, our shared drive. Maybe I can make this a little bit larger. So our shared drive, we're going to go to Main South, Students, AAT, Applied Tech, CAD, Shared, the Kraus Theme folder, although that name may change, and template files. And in this template file, you want to open up the architectural template file. When you do that, you will get the alert that it is a read-only file, and you'll want to say yes to that. And you may also get this AEC objects pop-up. Just go ahead and hit close on that. And you'll see I now have 2 of those files open. I am going to close 1. The next object will be to save this file to your drive. And I'm going to focus on you saving it to your student-specific network drive here at the school. In order to do that, we will go up to the A again, and we're going to do a save as, drawing, and this is where things might get a little different if you haven't worked with network drives before, as this is different than having things up in the cloud. So you can see here in this drop down in our save drawing as window, you'll see we were in the shared drive, and you can see what a lot of people refer to as the path that we got to find that file. You do not have rights as a student to save in the S drive. You should, however, have a U drive. And it would be very important to pay attention to the fact that there's a U drive as opposed to the drive on the local computer that you may be sitting at. So you should be using your U drive, and you can see there's a U colon there, and that's the drive we want to save stuff in. You can see I have a number of folders. You need to make sure that you create a CAD folder. So maybe I'll go into here, and I would rename this to whatever you want to call it. Maybe you want to call it the Main South House. Maybe you want to call it your last name, South House. Whatever it is that you want to call a file, please do so, and then make sure you hit save. It is very important for you to know where you are saving it. If you create a folder in your U drive, because again, I've been doing this for a little while, I have a lot of folders. If you want to create a new folder in your drive, feel free to do so. Maybe you call it whatever name, because again, I have a number of these folders. You'll want to enter that folder and save that file there. Okay? And when you do that, you'll see that up at the top of the screen, it now shows you the path with which that file is located and its name. For purposes today, I'll be using this file I created earlier called MS House 2021. Okay, so it's just a location save, and it's very important that you are aware of where you are saving that. The next item that we need to discuss is your access to the reference material. And this will either be posted in our classroom page, or it will be available on the student S drive, and I will show you how to get to that in class. So we have a couple of documents here. The first one we have here is the MS House Plan Instructions. On this, we have step-by-step kind of instructions. So we'll be focusing on part 1 today to start. Okay, where we're going to be drawing the interior and exterior walls, where they're telling us that the exterior walls will be a certain thickness. Again, in the real world, this will be determined by a number of factors that we're going to kind of ignore right now. but that's how we'll get a certain thickness of walls. You'll see the interior walls should be 4 1/2 inches thick, and there's one plumbing wall, and we'll identify those as we go through. Okay, so today we're going to focus on part 1 in our video. We also should have part 1 available to us, where we will have a number of sizes and dimensions to try and replicate. Okay, and there are lots of different ways to do this. I will try to showcase the most effective way to do so. So now that we have a general idea, I'm going to focus on the idea that we want to find out the overall size of our rectangle. This is a rectangular house, and regardless of what you're drawing, you have to start somewhere, and it's generally a good idea to start maybe with the overall outside shape of the house in the sizes that you think will work for your application. In this case, we're going to have a 58-foot by 28 foot, 58 by 28. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit more there, and let's go back to AutoCAD. So we're going to start drawing our walls on a particular layer. Again, this is an architectural template file, and so it will have a number of possible layers we can use as we are drawing the walls. The wall layer would be a very good place to start. And we start drawing our walls with either lines or rectangles. I'm in the habit of using lines, and so I will get the line command. And as in previous videos where we've discussed things, I would suggest that you have object snap turned on as well as ortho. Okay, and right now I don't have ortho on, so I'll hit F8, and there is my ortho. So I wanted a 58 foot, okay, and foot is a single quote mark. Okay, it's very important that you pay attention to that difference. So if I type in 58 here and I hit enter, you'll see that my line is very large and goes right off the screen. If I was to do the line command again and do 58 enter, there's a big difference between those two lines. One of them, the second one I drew, is 58 inches long, 58 inches. And let's take a look at that. Okay, ooh, oh my goodness. I love it when a plan comes together. 1, 2, okay, 58 inches, 4 foot 10. This first line I drew, if we take a measurement on that, there it is. We will see that that is in fact 58 feet. So after you draw your first line, it would be my recommendation that you verify that you are drawing at the right size. It would be very unfortunate if you got very far in and found out that you were drawing everything in inches, as some things we will use later could become problematic if your drawing is not to scale. So our next distance was 28 feet, and I don't think it took my mark, so let's try this again. Thank you for the information there, AutoCAD. 28 feet up, 58 feet over, and I will hit C and enter, and I didn't start there. Good point. In fact, let me show you that, because I don't think I've talked about that earlier videos. Again, I'm going to do 58 feet over, 28 feet up, 58 feet over, and I'm going to hit C, enter, and that will close what I was working on. So I didn't have to worry about finding the endpoint or anything. And I now have the exterior rectangle that should be representing the size of my house. And just to double check, I'm going to place 2 dimensions. I probably should have put them on the dimension layer. If you haven't seen previous videos, you may want to pay attention to that. And that does say 58 feet long and 28 feet wide. All right, let's take a look back at our example. And we have thicknesses to all of our walls. And if we look back at the instructions, it did say that our exterior walls will be 6 inches thick. So what we are now going to do is make the exterior wall thickness. I have seen a number of techniques in the past. Some people like to draw a line here that is 6 inches over, and then they worry about drawing all these additional lines. I would not recommend doing that. I like to work fast and accurately. And what I would suggest that you use is the array command. I'm sorry, not array, the offset command. All right, we've used this in previous videos, so I'm going to select the offset command. In fact, I want this up at the top here, my command window, and I'm going to specify my distance as 6 inches. That's the thickness of my exterior walls. And I'm going to now select 4 walls, 4 wall lines, and I'm going to offset them in by the 6 inches. Now, at each corner, I'm going to be left with this detail where the offset lines overlap. Okay, and again, there are ways to trim this up. Some people like to use the grips and physically move the lines using Object Snap. Some people like to use the trim command. Remember, we hit enter once and everything becomes a trim. Okay. Personally, I like, whenever possible, when I have a 90-degree corner or a corner that's not rounded, I like to use the fillet command with a radius 0. And I will just simply click on the 2 lines and they'll be gone and trimmed. Again, I might be able to use that elsewhere on the house and the walls, but fillet like that doesn't always work particularly great depending upon what's going on with walls. So in the interest of keeping this video relatively short, I am not going to go through every wall that we need to create, but I will show you how to draw a couple. Okay. The next thing that we need to do is worry about, are there any other exterior walls? And if we look at this drawing, you may not be able to tell other than this dimension right down here that says 6 inches. So what the plan here is, this is our garage. We have attached garage, and this is kind of like our kitchen, family room area, and there's a little laundry area here. It looks to me that this wall that goes all the way across, as well as this wall here, between the cold, unheated garage and the house, looks to be 6 inches. Okay, so with that in mind, what we need to now do is go down and pay attention, zoom in, pay attention to the dimensions that we see here, where the dimension starts and where the dimension ends. So we are worried about creating the garage space here, and it looks like this dimension goes from the outside edge of our wall to the inside edge of the wall inside. Even though it's an exterior wall, it's technically inside an enclosed space. Being thick like that allows us to have more insulation. So again, we have a more efficient house, and it also allows us to have less sound. So 15 foot 6 inches from the outside edge of that wall. That's my next move. So I am going to use offset in a lot of my creations here, or a lot of the wall creations, because I can simply do something along the lines of this. Now that I have offset selected, I tell it that I want a 15 foot 6 inch distance. Okay, so I can verify that AutoCAD is seeing 15 foot 6. And then I can use my pick box, select the line, offset at 15 foot 6, and that should be in the approximately correct location, or exactly correct. And I can verify that again with a simple dimension. And that appears to be at 15 foot 6. So offset is your friend, and I will continue boxing in our garage area. We can see that we have another 6 inch wall here, and we're then going to want to probably deal with this closet area here. So go up to our wall here. We're going to do an offset of 6 inches. I'm going to offset that from here over 1. Make sure you go to the correct side. Okay, and there's my 6-inch thick exterior wall. We go back to AutoCAD. I'm sorry, not AutoCAD, our example file. We see that from the inside edge of the closet area here, so the inside edge to the inside edge, we have a 2 foot 4-inch distance. So I'm going to go back to AutoCAD. I'm going to be using this wall and offsetting it 2 foot 4 to the left. So again, I'll use the O for offset command, 2 foot 4. I type in my distance, I select, and I offset. I do remember that this wall here is also 6 inches thick, so I will offset that wall at 6 inches. And by the way, I am using keyboard commands. You can certainly utilize the offset icon up here in the top left. But again, I'm doing this long enough that keyboard commands used to be very fast and still are faster than me maybe moving my mouse constantly. All right, so I now have the large garage wall here and the wall that's going to give me the what ends up being a washer dryer area in our design. And now we have to worry about the 5 foot 11 distance. And again, I got to pay attention. That's from the inside wall. It goes to the outside wall. So 5 foot 11. Okay, zoom in. And I'm going to use the offset command. 5 foot 11 is the distance that I'm going to offset. I'm going to take the inside wall, offset it, 5 foot 11. And then I just want to double check. That was from the inside wall to the outside wall. So here, I'm going to take this line that I just created and offset it 6 inches up. So again, O for offset, enter, 6 for my distance, line here, offset up. And now comes what ends up being usually one of the more time-consuming parts of doing this whole drawing is we want to go into the trim command. Okay, so again, I've used fillet. In fact, let's use fillet here. Radius of 0. I'm going to fillet this line and this line. I'm also going to fillet this line and this line. You can see it cleans that up pretty quickly for me. However, I kind of want the rest of this. So now I'm going to go into my trim command, hit enter once, and I don't want this or this or this. Think of all these walls as like a river. We want the river or the water to be able to run throughout all the walls with nothing stopping it. And again, the attention to detail here is kind of important. So please be sure that you pay attention that there are no openings here or lines left on any of those walls. Okay. Again, as you work your way through this drawing, you will add more and more of these walls. A technique that you might want to utilize is the construction line technique, where as we add our next wall in, maybe as we are doing a room by room or a wall by wall, I can leave them white as their construction lines, and as I trim them up or chamfer their, I'm sorry, not chamfer, but clean up their edges, I change them into a different color. Sometimes we can get a lot of lines going on up here, and it can become confusing. So we'll do maybe one more example. So let's zoom out a little bit. Now I'm going to focus on this wall here, as that is our 8-inch thick plumbing wall. Okay, you can see the 8-inch marking right here. And we see that we have a distance up here of 21 feet, 11 and 1/2 inches. And that is from the inside edge of this wall here, to the, I'll say the left edge of our plumbing wall. So I'm going to go over there and perform an offset, and then I'll offset for 8 inches. Now, when I do that, I'm only going to have a line that's about this long. And that's okay, because when I figure out where this wall is, then I can bring those two things together. So 21 foot, 11 and 1/2 is my goal. Offset 21 foot, 11 dash 1/2. That's how we put in feet and inches. I'm going to take that line there and offset to the right. As simple as that. And if it helps you visualize, extend that line down so you know that it's a longer than what we put in. And then I will offset again 8 inches. And there's my plumbing wall. And again, depending on how you go about doing this, there are a lot of different ways. I would suggest that you work maybe one side and add lines in. So maybe we work on adding in now this 8.1 distance, and that will get me a line here. I can add interior wall thicknesses. So maybe we'll do that next again. And that will get me 1, 2, 3, 4, almost all the vertical lines on this side of the house. And then maybe you'd come and work your way down the side here and add in those lines. And then maybe do some trimming, and then maybe work your way from the left to the right, or you could work from the right to the left. You have to figure out a way to approach the task of replicating the distances here. So I'm going to add in this 8.1. So that's from the left edge of the 8-inch wall, 8.1. So offset again, 8 and 0.1. Okay, 8 feet, 0.1. Try that again. I think I may have hit too many times, but it still has the distance in there. That's correct. And now I have the 8.1 wall. I now look at this. Which side do I go to? Well, it looks like I'm going to offset to the left this time. So this is an interior wall. And for reference or review, our interior walls will be 4.1 inches thick. So if we go back to our file and we'll do offset 4.5, I'll take that line and offset it to the left. And now I've got a room being established over here. I've got a room being established here and a room being established here. I could certainly come in here and trim this line, trim this line. However, I would suggest that you wait until maybe you verify the dimensions or the locations of the walls that you have placed. So we went from here to here. No, we did not. We went from here to here. If that is the correct dimension, then I, in theory, have those placed properly. And if I was to, again, verify dimensions, do we have a dimension from here to here? I think we did. Okay. Again, we take a look there, 21 and 11.1. That sounds familiar. Is that what we were asked to do in our example? It is. Okay. So I'm going to end the, well, I won't end the video here, but I'm going to take a break and we'll come back with a few more of those walls being drawn. All right. So picking back up, we had just finished verifying. We had a number of walls drawn, and you can see here I've taken my time using the initial handout. And again, let's go back there and take a look at that. We have all of these walls drawn and sized correctly, and hopefully if you've been able to take care of some of that on your own, identifying which walls need to be where, their sizes, offsetting for the appropriate distances, and trimming, you should end up having something that looks like this. This is where we should be at the end of part 1. And if we take a look ahead at where we will be on step 2, we're going to be adding in doors and windows.